This semester, Team Kroeger searched high and low for information on the Gilded Age librarian Alice Bertha Kroeger in her publication, The Guide to the Study and Use of Reference Books. So, just who is Alice? Alice was born in St. Louis, Missouri on May 2, 1864. Alice's lifelong shyness may be attributed to her father's 1870 conviction for forgery. He was exonerated 2 years later, but this was very embarrassing for the family. In 1882, at 18, she started her career at the St. Louis Public Library. During her time, she realized that catalogers should spend time at the reference desk to be better equipped at handling cataloging problems. She left St. Louis in 1889 at age 25 to study under Melville Dewey in Albany, New York. In 1890, she returned to St. Louis to accept a cataloging position at the St. Louis Public Library. Her return was either because of money issues or Melville Dewey's womanizing ways. In 1891, she goes back to Albany to complete her schooling. She graduates with high honors. Amazingly, she completes the 2-year degree in Albany in about a year. In September 1891, she leaves New York State University for Drexel University in Philadelphia, PA. Drexel University's president, James McAllister, found Alice through the high recommendation of Melville Dewey. She would be the new librarian of the Drexel Institute of Art, Science, and Industry. Alice was now at the place where she would cement her name in the history of librarianship. In the fall of 1892, she started the library school at Drexel. It was modeled after the one in Albany. Admission into the program required a rigorous examination, though no example could be found. I imagine it was akin to the Carnegie Library of Pittsburgh Training School for Children's Librarians entrance exam from 1904. Every applicant had to take the exam, even those with college degrees, because of the unevenness of the college curricula. The school initially started with about 10 students a year. By 1899, the student body had more than doubled. By 1900, each class was limited to only 20 students. As a side note, here are a few insights into Alice's personality. We already know she had a problem with shyness, which led her to being perceived as aloof, rigid, reticent, and austere. However, she was very dedicated to her work. In 1889, she joined the ALA as member number 728. She was also said to be a suffragist. If you have a question, you should. Go ask Alice. I think she'll know. She also published actively throughout her career as a librarian on topics such as the care of books, encouraging serious reading, roles of women librarians, ALA cataloging rules, responsibilities of the desk assistant, and library school curricula, to name a few. In 1902, she published The Guide to the Study and Use of Reference Books. It was the first time reference sources from many diverse fields were brought together. It defined the genre for reference works. The first edition had 800 titles mentioned. Each year, the Library Journal published a supplement to it. In 1908, she published her final edition. This version of the guide grew to include 1,200 titles. The book was based on her coursework, which had assignments, much like our Search and Seizes, that were based on real-life inquiries from patrons. During her researching of the book, she learned that there were 4 types of books libraries could not do without: dictionaries, encyclopedias, atlases, and biographical dictionaries. In 1908, she also publishes Aids in Book Selection, which was for use in small libraries as a guide to buying books and using sources. Sadly, on October 31, 1909, Alice died at the age of 45 from heart failure. It has long been thought that in her dedication to librarianship, she worked herself to death. The Guide to the Study and Use of Reference Books was continued in later editions by Isadora Mudge in 1910 through 1936 through the 6th edition. In 1951, Constance Winchell takes over the guide. Finally, in 2008, in its 12th edition, it is the first reference guide to be issued in electronic form with internet links. We now bring this thrilling adventure to a close with a little ditty to review what we've learned about Alice Bertha Kroeger.
She grew up in St. Louis, Missouri. She got a job at the public library. Her name was Alice. She had a knack for reference and cataloging. Went to New York to pursue her dream. She also wrote a book called AIDS and Book Selection. Now I gotta get used to not doing research on Alice. Alice, who the heck is Alice? Left New York back to St. Louis. A year later back to Albany. And graduated. At Drexel University, she launched a library program and she wrote her name in history. And she wrote her books and lectured about libraries. She was shyly austere and had good looks and wrote a guide to the study and use of reference books. For the past 4 months I've been doing research on Alice. Alice, who the heck is Alice? Past 4 months, just lots of researching. She also wrote a book called AIDS and Book Selection. Now I gotta get used to not doing research on Alice. Alice, who the heck is Alice? She died in 1909 at 45 years. She was a hard-working librarian named Alice. Drexel University was lost without her. When she was gone and they would all remember the aloof, Auburn librarian named Alice. Well, she was shyly austere and had good looks and wrote a guide to the study and use of reference books. For the past 4 months I've been doing research on Alice. Alice, who the heck is Alice? Past 4 months, just lots of researching. She also wrote a book called AIDS and Book Selection. Now I gotta get used to not doing research on Alice. Alice, who the heck is Alice? Now I'll never get used to not doing research on Alice.